Hello, my name's Jane Smith and I've been working with the Forum this year on the posters. We've had many more this year than ever before. There's 1,200 on display, all in a grand array down the hall, and they look terrific. I've brought with me Carolyn Tarrant, who herself has a poster in this year's display, and has also been helping out with facilitating the poster sessions that we've been having. We've been getting groups of people with posters to walk around and present their posters and have a really good interactive conversation with other people with posters in the same area and the same subject. Carolyn, what's been your impression of the posters so far, both as a displayer of one?
I think it's been nice to see so many posters and actually to see work that's of a really good standard being displayed. People have really engaged with them, so I've seen people walking around with their coffees, taking photos, and obviously are taking things away that they're going to sort of use back home. Yeah.
Yeah, and my impression of the group discussions has been that some of them have been really intense and really interactive, and people have, I think, taken quite a lot away from them.
Yeah, so the session that I facilitated yesterday, I took quite a large group around the posters. I had about 20 people who came around with me. My session that I facilitated was on intensive care and emergency medicine. It was a really nice group of people, really international, so people from all over who had an interest in that area. And what we did was we went around, we had an hour session, and we had a number of people in the group who were presenting posters themselves. So I asked people to volunteer to sort of take a bit of time to present their posters. So we went round and people gave just a sort of short 2-minute introduction to their poster. And then we had some really good discussions from the rest of the group, people asking questions and also thinking about how what the person was presenting might be relevant for them in their own particular healthcare setting. So there was a really nice opportunity to sort of share ideas.
Yeah. One thing I've always thought was rather nice about the posters, my colleague Fiona Moss, who's been involved in them right since the forums began, always calls the posters the People's Forum, and because it's a sort of expression of what people are actually working on the ground. And each year, if you look at the themes, they're slightly different as an interest arises in hand washing or handovers or certain clinical areas. And that I think that sort of roots it in reality and makes it really relevant to people.
And I think they're a really nice way for people to share their work. So bringing a poster to a conference, it's quite unthreatening. It's not like having to stand up and do a presentation in front of a room full of people. You know, you've got your poster on display and you've got just an opportunity to meet people and to talk about what you've done. So I think it can be really nice.
Yeah. And what I think's been good about this year is the posters are very prominent. They're all together next to the coffee. They're not sort of tucked away in a separate room. And the sessions on them are on the main programme. So if they feel really integrated and part of the forum rather than being tucked away at a breakfast session or an evening session.
Yeah, and I think that's worked really well. And personally, as a facilitator, I felt that I actually enjoyed that poster session as much, if not more, than some of the parallel sessions that I've been to, because you can see a lot of different pieces of work in a short period of time, and also it's a lot more interactive, so it's not just sitting there and listening. You know, you can actually have a chat and ask people questions.
Yes, and one of the sessions that I facilitated was a rather mixed one, in that people had posters from different sections and different themes, and I was a bit worried about how that would work. But at the end, lots of people said, "Oh, well, you know, that's not my discipline at all or my subject." But actually, it was really interesting to pick up some tips from that that we're not thinking along those lines, and maybe we should be. So I actually think that was quite rich too.
And having the posters displayed for people to sort of wander around, you have got the opportunity of things to just catch your eye and to stop and read them. Whereas perhaps if you're sitting and choosing out of a number of parallel sessions, you know, you wouldn't have been necessarily thinking about that thing.
So, I mean, one of our purposes is actually to encourage people to submit more posters in future years. It was a fantastic submission this year, and as I said, 1,200 posters is more than we've ever had before. It would be good to have even more next year in Paris. And I think people, you know, have really got the poster bug. As you say, the standard of them was very high, and they're well constructed and very clear. And people are also very good at presenting them as well.
Mm-hmm. But I think people shouldn't be too worried about, you know, is my poster going to be good enough? You know, perhaps there are people working out there who don't have a design service that are going to support them, and they're just going to have to produce them themselves. And I think, you know, you can still do a lot yourself. I don't think you need to worry about producing something that's sort of absolutely perfect. The idea is just to produce something that's going to interest people and is going to display what you've done.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be sort of fancy.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point. Carolyn, thank you very much indeed for coming and talking about posters.
Okay, thank you.